Okay, so I'm just going to explain to you real quick what a EPROM is. It's this little chip right here. EPROM stands for Erasable Programmable Read-Only Memory. So what this means is basically think of these little guys like you would a USB flash drive, you know, one of those little thumb drives that you keep your Word documents on, or some photos for, traveling around with. But these hold much less data than them, and they can only be erased in one way, which is through ultraviolet light. That's why we have this little window here, and that little window allows us to put ultraviolet light onto the programming area, and that will erase any data on this chip. And once it's erased, we can then program this with our own information. This is a USB EPROM programmer. So basically what you do is you connect your USB cable and you have software that will send information to our EPROM chip. So yeah, that's EPROMs. That's how you write to them, and how you erase them is with one of these guys. This is a EPROM eraser. Basically, what you have is a drawer here, and you set your chips onto that, like so. You close this, and we have a timer, 0 to 60 minutes, and you just turn that on once your timer's on. I always set it for an hour, and that basically turns a light on inside this box, a UV light that exposes the chips to ultraviolet light and erases them. And that's EPROM programming in a nutshell. There's much more to it than that, but that's just a quick explanation on what we're tackling there when it comes to EPROMs and erasing and programming. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to use this Major League Baseball cart as a donor cartridge to create our own copy of Stadium Events. Now, when it comes to donor cartridges and making your own homebrew games or reproductions, you have to keep in mind that when you use a donor cartridge, you're basically destroying this game to create a copy of another one. So keep in mind and always be mindful that you are destroying a cartridge. So when you choose a donor cartridge, make sure it's something that is very common, that there are millions of copies of, because you are removing this game from existence. As a preservation perspective, a lot of people will frown upon that, and you just want to keep that in mind. So if you're not buying your own PCB boards or cartridge cases, just make sure it's a game that nobody really cares about that much and that there are many of. I've opened this already. I experimented earlier. Now on this, I've already removed the chips once, and I programmed these 28256 EEPROM chips. Now EEPROMs are electrically erasable, programmable, read-only memory chips. The pinout is slightly different on these. I tried to jump one of the address buses to another pin here. It didn't work for me. I just got a gray screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the EPROM chips here, these erasable, programmable EPROM memories. These are erased with UV light, and the pinout on these, the pin configuration, is identical to this cartridge. and to stadium events, the game we want to create. I won't go through soldering or desoldering these, but I will explain more on how we get our game information onto these chips here so we can populate this board and have our own copy of stadium events going. So let's get into that, and I'll show you how to program EPROM chips via the computer. See you soon. Okay, so here is the basics of what we're gonna do. So we need a ROM, and I have my Nintendo emulator open here. And here's the Stadium Events ROM that we're used to seeing when it comes to playing games and emulating stuff. So there it is. It's running in an emulator. That's neat. So what we need to do with this is we need to split it into two files so we can put our program data and our character data on these chips separately. This program, called NES Mapper Reader, will take care of this for us. So I'm just going to go and load up our Stadium Events ROM that we have. So I've opened it, and I'm going to analyze the ROM. It gives us some basic information about the game. We can see here that the program size is 32K, and our character size is 32K. Now, because this is 8-bit, we multiply this by 8, and that will give us 256. Therefore, that's why we need two 256K chips here, so we can store this program information onto those chips. So to get this ready to split, we come up here and we remove the header. And we're going to output the character and program data. I just leave this on auto split, then I'm going to prepare it. So now it says operation successfully completed. We're going to OK that. So we don't need this program anymore. It split it into two files for us. I'll show you that. So it gives us the bin file, which is basically the NES ROM, I believe with the header stripped out. It gives us our character information and our program information. These two we need. We don't care about this at all. We're going to burn these two onto our EPROM chips, and I'll show you how we take care of that using this Mini Pro programming software. Now, to find a donor cart that will work with your game, I come here to BootGod's NES cart database. This is the website here. It's basically bootgod.dys.org:777/home.php. Don't ask me why. So I'm going to come over here, look for S. I know looking for Stadium Events, little P, QRST, it's probably on page 8. And here it is here. So if we open this up, we need the PCB class. That's the most important part here. So when we click on that, it gives us a list of games that use that same PCB class, the same printed circuit board configuration. So I've looked this up already, and I know, because we're using Major League Baseball, right here. So there we have it. These are the chips that are used. the size of the ROM information, and our PCB class is the same. So what you could do first off is, I know I have Major League Baseball as a donor cart, so you would look up Major League Baseball first, check your PCB class by clicking on the type, and then it'll give you basically a list of games that are compatible with that cartridge type. Now this is just a basic homebrew, a reproduction. Once you get into different mappers, Nintendo mappers, just different memory mapping for more enhanced games, sometimes you can get into actually rewiring some of the chips so they work properly, but this is a basic game. That's what we're targeting today. So let's get into putting these ROMs onto our chip. So we've split our game already. So we're going to open up our programming software, which talks to this guy. So I'm going to take one of my chips, place it in here, like so, and lock it down. And by clicking here, I can search for my chip type. I'm just going to read one of these off and type it in. It is a HN 27 256G. And that gives us our chip right here. So we're going to select that. If we click information, it'll tell us how to place it into the socket, which I've done so already. We've got our number 1 pin here because we can tell by the divot, and we just go by this diagram. So we know that's good. We're going to check to see if this is a blank chip, to see if it has any information on it first. We'll click that and we'll do blank, and it came back, device is blank. So that's good. So now all we're going to do is we're going to open up one of those files that we've split. We're going to do the program data first. I'll open that up. We're going to use regular binary format. We'll push OK. So that loads our program data into our programming software. Now all we have to do at this point is press this program chip option here. So I'm going to just push program, and this will write our program information from Stadium Events onto this EPROM chip. I hit program, and it's going to go through. It'll take a little while. You can see the yellow light is on because it's active and it's writing information to that chip, just as if you would a USB flash drive, but you can only write to this once. So that's finished, unless you erase it with UV light. I'm just going to verify the information that's loaded and the information that's on the chip to make sure it is identical. I'm going to check verify. We're going to run the verify. As long as this comes back okay, it says results are successful. So our chip is programmed with the programming data. It's that easy. I'm going to do the same thing. That's our programming data. I'm just going to write a little P on that, so I know that that's my program. We're going to line this up properly and put it in there, lock our socket down. We're going to blank check it. Device is blank. Now we're going to open up our character information, which is our second chip. I'll open that. Do it as binary, that's fine. And now we're going to program it. And this is programming our character information for the game, basically our graphics. And the program ROM is just the just that. It's program information for the game. It tells the game how to run, what graphics to load. So we have two storage points. We have program data and graphics data, which is the character. So that's done. Cancel that, and we're going to verify it. Verify finished successful. So that's that. So the next step for us is to put a C on here for character. Then we're going to desolder our chips and solder these back in place here. Now these are labeled. This says CHR over here for character, and this says PRG ROM for our program ROM. And it does give us on the circuit board, I don't know if you can see that, it shows you the shape of the chip, basically where to put pin 1. So I'm going to get these soldered in, and then we're going to give this game a try and see if it'll work for us this time. If it does, this will be my first successful game reproduction. So let's keep our fingers crossed and try it out. I'll see you in a short bit to do some testing. Sweet. Okay, phew, what a task. So I just finished soldering on my EPROM chips, and this is what it looks like. Removing the old chips, I pulled up, if you could see, there are all these little traces here that go to the contact pads of the cartridge. And when I was removing one of these chips, I actually pulled one off the board. So I had to make a jump repair there. And this is very rough. It's my first one, so that pin goes to that via. So hopefully that is gonna be connected properly. So now we at this point we're just gonna pop this back into our cartridge here and keep our fingers crossed. I'll bring you out to the living room so we can see if our Major League Baseball is now stadium events. Let's go to the living room. Okay, so here it is. We're going to pop in our Major League Baseball, which is hopefully stadium events at this point, and see if it works. Oh, I might want to turn on the TV first. Hey, doggy. Hey, little dog. I'll change my input to my Nintendo. And with luck, we have stadium events. So that's how you turn a Major League Baseball into a stadium events. So that's pretty goddamn awesome. Until next time, please subscribe, tell your friends, and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. We'll see you later.